Welcome to another episode of Crime Pays Babani. Thus, we're here in Parque Nacional Conguillo, looking at a whole slope of black pumice. You got all this high silica stuff that's blowing out the top of one of these volcanoes, because you got the Nazca plate subducting, which we all should appreciate. We got the dominant species here, the dominant genera, are Baccharis. We got Haplopapus as well. Little yellow guy down there. We got a bunch of moss. We got invasive dug firs. I have seen so many non-native plants. Radiata pine, Eucalyptus globulus, dug fir. So many non-natives taking over the dominant plants outside of the park are non-natives. It is crazy how much garbage is planted. Out of context ecological garbage, but we did just go through a town. They was predominantly Mapuche, that they had a whole shit ton of Araucaria araucana. Those wonderful Jurassic trees planted throughout the town. You got Nothofagus over there. Could be alpina. Could be Baccharis. I'll have to look closely. Of course, the Southern Hemisphere beaches. You got Austrocedrus chilensis, a member of the redwood family. Cupressaceae. Look at all that moss though in the background. All different kind of bryophytes and stuff. Anyway, we're going to take a little gander, see what we got going on. Hopefully not see too many invasives. We're going to sashay around the park like the fancy shits that we're not, and just do a little floristic inventory now. So here we go. You know, so everybody knows Baccharis are dioecious. Almost all of them are dioecious. There's the male. You got Baccharis helmifolia on the east coast of North America. You got Baccharis pilaris in California. There's a male Baccharis. And there is a female. You can see those plumose hairs, those papus singular sticking out of those involucres, those flower heads. Clear distinction between male and female plants. Dioecious, so the plants are either male or female, like pot. You can see we got Gaultheria to Araucaria with the little pendant ursulid flowers. Can you see that? There's more. Not the most mesmerizing genus. You know, a lot of these Araucaceous bastards in the Southern Hemisphere, and this is not an Epacrid. This is not the Southern Hemisphere subfamily Epacridaceae that you might see in Australasia. This is a true Araucaceae. Not the most mesmerizing flowers. Blueberry family. Araucaceae, not the most mesmerizing genus, rather, because there's a lot of diversity. It's one of those genera where there's a lot of species in it, but they all kind of look the same, to the point that you go, when you see them. You appreciate them. You like what they're doing. You know, they're associated with that Aracoid mycorrhizae, but you're not getting super jazzed on it, you know, like you would be for, say, this weird bastard, this Gondwanan relic, this Austrocedrus, in the redwood family Cupressaceae, but more closely related to the genera that you might find in New Zealand and Australia than to the Northern Hemisphere genera, even though it kind of looks like an incense cedar. See, there's those sprays of foliage. It does kind of look like an incense cedar, but it's not. It's more closely related to Libocedrus. Look at those white stomatal bands. White stomatal bands on those scales, on those flat sprays. And there's Nothofagus. Is it Baccharis? I don't think it is. I think it's one of the different ones. You know, these guys, I know alpina, those have distinct leaves. But this one, I know alpina, I know glauca. But, and I appreciate these. Look at how they almost look like a conifer, like a cedar from far back. A true cedar. In a genus Cedrus, they got those flat levels of branches. They're everywhere. Nothofagus is big down here. Oh, we got an invasive lettuce, stinky lettuce. Get those in Northern California too, but this we don't get in Northern California. You don't get this in Northern California, but it's looks kind of equivalent to Aurea, even though it's in a different family. This is Prumnopitys andina from the family Podocarpaceae, notorious among Southern Hemisphere conifer enthusiasts, notorious among enthusiasts from the Jurassic, even the Triassic. It could be said that these evolved. I think the fossil, the pollen record goes back to the Triassic. Probably the whole family's most closely related to the Araucarias. even though they look quite different. Look at those cones. Not fruits, they're cones. It's a gymnosperm. It's a naked seed. It's a naked seed with a fleshy scale around it. They're just swollen scales that envelop the seed, like so many of the podocarps. This is a rare one. Narrow endemic. I wouldn't say narrow, but narrow enough. The Andes of central and south central Chile. Podocarpaceae. Touch my podocarpus. Touch my Prumnopitys. What are those things? Are those the immature megastrobili? This little blue. Look at all the wax on those things. Here's one that gets abused in horticulture. Hydrangea serratifolia. It's a climbing hydrangea. The only species in the genus from Chile. There's those flowers. They're little posts. They're fully white when they're going off, but still interesting to see. A climbing hydrangea. Hydrangea serratifolia. Pretty ubiquitous in southern Chile. God, I love this landscape. It reminds me of some of those landscapes in northeastern California. The volcanic legacy, Gewenia proteaceae, the macadamia tribe of proteaceae, Gewenia avellana if you're a gringo, with the pinnate leaves and those spikes of flowers. I guess it's a raceme. They got up, yeah, they're sessile. It's a spike. A little bit of dieback. What do we got down here? Look at the whole community. Oh, is that a galium? What is it? What's this stuff? What is it? Is that a galium? Yeah, that is. That's a rubiaceae. That's a galium. That's a madder. Who's that? Filmy ferns or silage? There we go. There's Lomadia, another proteaceous bastard. Proteaceae. Early branching angiosperm family. I think you get, how many you get in the northern hemisphere? Not very many. Barely. Here's a male Prumnopitys. You know, so many podocarps are dioecious, right? Instead of being monoecious, instead of having male and female cones on the same plant, they're unisexual. The plant itself is unisexual. Again, like Pat. And those are the microstrobili. Those are the pollen cones. Releasing haploid pollen to titillate your haploid megagametophyte. And of course, what would any natural area on planet Earth be in this day and age without European invasives? Without horticultural bullshit, escaped horticultural bullshit that someone brought in because they thought it looked pretty. Foxglove is really bad here too. It's all over the roadsides. You know, you get these nut jobs that say, I should be nicer, but they are kind of nut jobs that defend invasive species and say they only colonize disturbed areas. Well, there's your proof that they don't. I mean, we all know they don't, but I don't expect anybody to actually listen to that because cognitive dissonance is strong, you know? I'm just putting it out there. In case anyone hears that shit, they know it's garbage. These beautiful I have a soft spot for the volcanic landscape. There's that hydrangea up there. Serratifolia. I'm just going to step down here. Look at these roblades. Look at these Nothofagus. God, they're gorgeous. You pick up some good spiritual medicine here for when you got to go back to the death cult. Why do you call it a death cult? It's just so negative. It's very, very negative. One of the Nothofagus blew over. Look at those Lomatia. God, they get big. It's a nice idyllic scene. The climbing hydrangea going up the Nothofagus. A soothing ointment, the soothing balm. Is that Prumnopitys? Oh yeah, that's a big Prumnopitys. That's a big Prumnopitys andina right there. They can get big. It's about 60 feet tall. Archidasyphyllum diacanthoides with the spines. Sunflower family Asteraceae. From the basal most subfamily of the sunflower family. The Barnardizioideae with the spines. God, I'd love to get this in flower. Look at that little mucronate point at the end. Yeah, there you go. It's a little fuzzy. The leaves are a little fuzzy. Medium-sized tree. God, look at that. Look at that. Fucking, God, that's gorgeous. Big Austrocedrus with the climbing hydrangea all up in its ass. Beautiful. Okay, we're going to do just a quick capricioid cone morphology exam. Look at this. Look at these beautiful cones. Megastrobili on that Austrocedrus. The architecture is stunning. It does kind of look like incense cedar, Calocedrus decurrens, that you get in the Pacific Northwest. What a beautiful tree. I grew these once in California, but they were, you know, they're kind of susceptible to rot. They don't like it too much, you know. They don't like. They're drought tolerant to a point, and then they need a little bit of water. But I mean, when you see what they're growing, and they're basically growing in a completely mineral soil. This is just pumice. It's pure pumice. Look at that big knob of pumice right there. Gorgeous trees. Everything draped in lichen. Beautiful bark. Beautiful expose of the bark. God, I love this family. Cupressaceae, everybody. Austrocedrus chilensis. I'm sorry, Pinus. You gotta go. Pinus radiata. We'll just leave it there. Invasive. You know, they escaped those lumber plantations, which are extensive. You also thank Pinochet for those lumber plantations, from what I hear. No, it's pine. Look, there's pine. I didn't come down this way to see pines. I don't want to see no pines. There's no native pines in the southern hemisphere. Asshole. Look at a forest. You got Prumnopitys everywhere, Nothofagus. I wonder if the Nothofagus and this orchid in the genus Chlorea are tied into the same mycorrhizal network. Como se dice nice. Look at that column. That column housing the single anther and the stigma and the visidium. You got those little green calli on that labellum. Let's take a closer look. Let me hold this still. Just force it to cooperate here. That's gorgeous. That is a really beautiful orchid. Good way those dangling tepals hang down. You got those bracts. This thing's about to be done here. Oh, you got those pollinia still up there. Two juicy pollinia looking like a pair of truck nuts up on the top of that column. Leaves are already done. It's about to die back to the root. Certainly Orchidoides subfamily. Nice lomatia too. The bark of the Prumnopitys is so sensual. Not as sensual as Saxagothea. This is not like a get in a hot tub sensuality. This is more just like a platonic sensuality, but it's beautiful. Bastard. And it's covered in this lichen. Gives you an indication of how healthy this forest is. It's been well taken care of. No radiata pines. So few of these places left on a planet, you know, for our selfish and somewhat narcissistic species of ape. But at least, you know, some of us had some wherewithal to, you know, keep some of it around. I really love that some of the podocarps do this. Podocarp bark looks much different than capricioid bark, cupressaceae bark. Look at that rippling. Then we got the genus Asara, willow family, Salicaceae. It's an easy one because you got those dimorphic leaves. You got those mini leaves, and then you got the big leaves right next to each other. Come out at the same leaf bud. You could see that we're on a volcano, an active volcano, and there is layer after layer, only a few thousand years old, of previous eruptions. See that whole hillside is covered in Gunnera tinctoria and Cordidaria, the pampas grass, as well as Nothofagus and a host of other species. Here comes the fog. Look at it. What a wild landscape. See, we had to get close and look at the layers of ash. Haplopappus up there, Gunnera, and invasive prickly lettuce. Jesus Christ, look at that. Invasive echium, that purple flower from Europe, Boraginaceae, and Doug fir. We've got Doug fir. Why? Why you want to do that? Why you want to plant Doug fir in this place, huh? See, right here, the dominant plant is Gaultheria. Phyllorefolia, I don't know what species. How many species of Gaultheria there are? You know, again, I don't get enthused. I don't get jazzed. I do get jazzed about Adesmia, though, which are sticky peas. Very viscid peas with those segmented fruits, those segmented legume fruits. You can see the punctate glands on them. Segmented legume fruits that break up. Look at the glands. Look at the glands on that calyx, of that pea flower that hasn't opened. Here's one that has. That's what they look like when they do open. Typical banner wings and keel. Adesmia is a huge genus. Lots of diversity, lots of speciation. Many of them are very sticky. They got ones that are covered in this tar-like material, tar-like exudate up north in the Atacama. Look at those leaflets. Cool species, but this is all Gaultheria and Nothofagus and that little moss. Oh, there's our first little hint of Araucarias. One of the token species that we're going to be looking for here in this little trip. You can see them up there, Araucaria araucana. Look at those. The fog rolling in, the mist. Okay, that's pretty nice. That is nice. It's the whole forest of Araucarias. How old? They could live for almost 2,000 years. Surely some of that age are up there. We got the cypresses. We got the Austrocedrus down below. The whole volcanic landscape. Haplopappus, that moss. Look at it, just the whole forest of those guys up there. Look at it, like little white totem poles. They get that mushroom shape when they get older. Remnants of the Triassic. God, look at them all up there. What mycorrhizae they're associated with? You got the Nothofagus down below, the Austrocedrus down below. But those dominate the upper cliffs. The Araucarias dominate the upper cliffs, the upper ridges, the spine. To stand amongst your greatness, your honor, while I'm taking a leak, is a sight to behold. And hopefully you can access this nitrogen in the form of urea at some point. Look at those megastrobili. Another dioecious plant. So many dioecious trees in the southern hemisphere, but why? They plant these a lot in the Pacific Northwest. There's 2 trees in front of a house in Seattle somewhere. I forget the street. I forget the name of this. It's an intersection in Seattle. They got a male and a female planted next to each other. You can go get seeds, but these need a lot of moisture. Another tree that will only do well in the Pacific Northwest in the United States. There's not many other places. They don't like the heat and the humidity. They start to rot. Who do we got here? Who's this guy? Oh, it's a euphorbia. Do you know how it's a euphorbia? Because those flower shapes. See that? You got a cyathium. You got that ovary with that triphid bract on the end of it. That stigma. We got any male flowers? No. Glaucous color, red stems. That's a nice little euphorbia. There you go. Look at those nectaries, those yellow nectaries at the base. God, look at that thing. It's got to be a few 100 years old, if not more. Those cones just disintegrate. You know, they just disintegrate when they're ready. And the seeds, of course, are edible. Were very important to the Mapuche people. Look at all, they're just covered in lichen. Nice understory of Nothofagus antarctica with those undulate margins to those leaves. Beautiful trees. You get those little bud scales, those bracts too. God, look at those leaves, man. Gorgeous. Serrate margin, undulate margins. More Gualtheria. We got Nikina here too. Rosacea's the family. Little spiny fruits. Spiny fruits and dissected leaves. Acoalescent. So they don't stand up. They don't have a stem. They don't have a coalescent stem. We got one of the Nothofagus parasites, Mesodendron, from Mesodendraceae. Order is Santalales. Is that lichen interfering with it? Mesodendron are dioecious as well, male or female. I just don't like all this gender language. It's really bothering me. Look at it. We got an Araucaria seedling. Couple two tree. Is that all the same one? Not more. I've grown those from seed too. They're very easy. Oh, here's another ribes species. This is a different ribes with fruit on it. Gooseberries. Edible. A lot of diversity in North America as well. It's the second ribes species we've seen. Okay, we got to get past this Chusquea to get to the base of this wonderful organism here. Look at the bark on that. Layered. Layered like that hillside of tufaceous deposits and pumice that we saw back down a ways. Only 2 species in the genus Araucaria in South America. Araucaria angustifolia, which you get in Brazil, and I believe in Argentina, and Araucaria araucana, this guy as well, which you also get in Argentina. This is Andean though. You only get this in the Andes. Chile and Argentina. Probably the most cold tolerant species in a whole genus. The Australasian ones are more tropical. Araucaria bidwillii, Cunninghamia, I don't know. Named after some British guy, that British guy named Cunningham, you know, who might have been an asshole. In fact, he probably was, but that's neither here nor there. This is a wonderful thing to be able to get close to. I've been obsessed with these trees for a while. Since I first learned of them almost 18 years ago. You can see how they get this. Just like bidwillii in Queensland gets those same, that kind of, the way the bark kind of sags, you know, like an elephant foot. Chusquea, native bamboo, and Nothofagus. Let me just a mast here whenever those seeds drop. Whenever those cones disintegrate and those seeds drop. Yeah, see, here's those Mesodendron. Here's a different one. It's almost Selaginella-like. Well, Athrotaxis-like. And those would be the male flowers. That's about Mesodendron, of course. Like I've said before, it's dioecious. It's a parasite. It's a dioecious parasite. And this is a female. I thought at first that this was wind pollinated, but apparently they've got nectaries. This is a female. Those hairs are just for wind dispersal. Mesodendraceae. That's a family I don't think I'd even seen before. In a forest of Nothofagus alpina. Relatively large leaves. Look at these forests. These forests are magnificent. Lucky there's no one else here I can annoy, you know? God, look, and then you get the Araucarias. Look at that, those female cones appearing orange due to the high contrast of the camera. The Chusquea is so ecologically, oh, I don't know if you could say important or what. When did Chusquea get into the ecology here. How many millions of years ago? How long has it been here? I'm kind of interested in it because it's everywhere. It's a pioneer species. It does so well. And it just forms this dense thicket. And no doubt it changed the ecology whenever it got here. What's the biogeography of the genus Chusquea? Historical biogeography, I mean. Paleobiogeography. You know, was there a dispersal event when it arrived in the New World? How recently? Osmorrhiza, apiaceae, the carrot family. It's an interesting native. Celery-like leaves. Native to California as well. Well, you know, it's got one of those amphitropical distributions. Nice. Euphorbiaceae right there. Dysopsis is the genus. 2 species in Chile. Look at those white things that are male flowers. Little peltate leaves. See that? Got Alstroemeria. Of course, Austromeriaceae, order Linearis. A lily-like monocot. You know, you've seen some Alstroemerias in a grocery store bouquet, probably. Huh? You ever go to the Jewels and see Alstroemeria in their bouquet? What are those Asaras, those willow family members, with the dimorphic leaves, 2 different leaf kinds. Look at those wonderful trees. Look at those Nothofagus. The southern beaches. This is Araucaria for sure. Got those fruits developing a blueberry family, urceolate, remnant urceolate corolla on there. It's a species of Gaultheria, growing lithophytically off the rock, just dangling. Look at those gooseberries. Look at that ribes. The genus ribes just filled with edible fruit. And then over here we got the genus Mutisia from family Mutisioideae. We've been seeing these everywhere. These little vining shits. Oh, see, yeah, look at those leaf ends. They taper in a little filament. Oh, very leathery, coriaceous. Multiseriate phylaries. And there's those ligules. Asteraceae. Look at those styles too. They don't even they don't even fork at the end, do they, huh? And this right here, another vining mutisioid with leathery coriaceous leaves. This is one of the more basal subfamilies of the sunflower family, Asteraceae. There's the phylaries, and there's the flower. Those big ass ligules and orange styles that are elongated and don't really fork. I guess they fork at the tip a little bit, but not much. See, there's another one up there growing on the Chusquea. What are you doing here, huh? This guy gets started here. Some birds stashed the Araucaria seed, apparently. I don't know how shade tolerant they are. They don't seem to like any competition. They seem to like growing in more exposed sites. You guys are a sight to behold. That is something to fucking hang on to. So much bad. There's so much bullshit. And to see these, to stand at the base of these, that dwarf a human lifespan, a few 100 years old easily, there's something else. God, there's a lot of bullshit. There's a lot of bullshit, but it's just, you feel like you're immune to all of it here. The torrent of bullshit, the landslide of bullshit doesn't exist right now. Keep the focus on what matters. Reverence and respect for life. For life forms like this. But you gotta be able to tell some dumb assholes to go fuck themselves every once in a while too. You know, it is important. I'm not gonna lie. I'm not gonna keep it so rosy and romantic. It's reverence for this stuff. This is what matters. Nothofagus dombeyi, I think this one is. Got like 4 species here. Pumilio, Antarctica, alpina. What is this? This composite, this aster. It's mutisioid for sure. Do you see a 5-lobe corolla in there? No, I don't. But I do see a bilabiate corolla. 2-lipped corolla. Small lip on top that's recurved back and a big lip coming out that some might call a petal if they weren't familiar with Asteraceae. Look at the bifid styles too. Fused anther column. Multi-seriate phylaries and dissected leaves. And you got this drymus as well. What is that? What drymus is that? Alpina, andina, I forget which one. Apocarpus, though, those little green things are the ovaries, will mature into the fruits. Many stamens surrounding them. One of the magnoliids, the more basal angiosperm lineages, filled with the pleasant-smelling volatiles in those leaves, just like sassafras. You know about the magnoliids? Do you know about them? You get sensual with the magnoliids. What is that? That Asara? Woo! Still can't get over that beast, man. Jesus. Adenocolon chilensis. And I'm only mentioning this because we got one in California. Adenocolon bicolor, which also has white undersides to those leaves. Asteraceae is the family. You can see it's a little acaulescent herb. It gets escaped though. Not flowering right now, but those are the achenes. You can see them right there. Those are the staminate. Are those the staminate flowers in the middle? Yeah. It's got little staminate flowers still. And the pistillate flowers are on the outside. That is a weird plant. Look at the glands. Look at the glands. Little red stipitate glands. God, that's weird. That is like, it's like a composite on acid. I feel like I'm on acid now. That shouldn't, it shouldn't be like that. it's you know, because some of the Asteraceae, I guess it's a, are those second, no, that's a whole capitulum. Some of the capitula in Asteraceae, well, a lot of them just have pistillate flowers on the outside and then male flowers on the inside. This is not even pretending to be a capitulum. It looks like, are there phylaries there or what? That is so fucking weird. Yeah, male on the inside and then those gland-covered achenes / cypsela on the outside. Just single-seeded fruits on the outside. God, that's weird. That is weird. More floristic diversity. Alstroemeria going off. The mutisioid. There's quite a few invasive linearis in North America. Here's a native one. I believe there's 2 or 3 species in a region. Oh, there's flowers on it. It's the dainty little pea. You know, I like hanging out at the base of volcanic cliffs full of talus and pieces of rock that are about to fall off into a pile of scree. That's what I like doing. That whole thing is about to come down. Why not? Nice little calceolaria right there, a dwarf one. What species could this be with that little lip? Flip it up. It's like a little inflated bag. You only got 2 anthers in there. You can see it. All you can see right now is a little style. Why are you causing harm? Why'd you ruin Christmas? And just crawling along the rock wall. Who do we got here? Oh, look at those sorry. Oh my God. That's nice. Look at those clusters of sporangia.